Well, hey guys, welcome to Star Wars on High. Thank you for stopping by. We are back with what looks to be an early Christmas surprise here. The Rey Skywalker Force FX lightsaber has arrived way earlier than I expected, which is exciting. I did order it from GameStop, who has done pretty good so far with getting my pre-orders through. I got the dark saber from there. I got this, and they've both come kind of earlier than expected and shipped well. So far so good. But let's open this up. Let's deep dive and take a look at this saber in a little more detail. Now, if you guys are curious, if you've been watching the channel, I'm not maybe the biggest fan of the sequel trilogy, but I still really liked this lightsaber. I made a video talking about that. So if you have any questions on why I pre-ordered it, go ahead and check it out. But for the rest of you who just want to see this saber out, let's dive into the box and see what we got. Okay, so before we get into some detailed shots, let's just talk about what's in the box. I don't like to do unboxing of these for a couple reasons. One, they're all boxed the exact same way. I've opened 3 of these, they all look identical, so there's nothing really new to show you guys, number one. And number two, it's very hard to unbox these on camera. The box is so long, and to fit everything on there and to make it all work, it's just never worth the hassle, and I don't really think anyone is that concerned. But let's talk about what is included in the box. The first thing, of course, we got to talk about is the lightsaber stand. And this is the exact same one I got with the darksaber and the Palpatine one behind me. So nothing new here, which is good and bad. I wish they'd be kind of personalized to the saber. Do some ornamentation. It would make it an even more interesting display piece. But I guess it being simple makes the main focus when you look at it the blade. So I guess, it works out, right? It's very nice they include these. I use mine for the darksaber behind me. Would definitely recommend using this if you're going to display it like in your office at work, or if you're going to display it on your desk at home. It is very nice. It's very secure, good quality. So no real complaints. It's just nothing new. Nice that they include it. Maybe wish they'd spice it up for future saber releases. We also have the blade, which is very similar. There's a couple things I feel that are different since I've gotten the Palpatine one. Obviously, the darksaber is something completely different. But this is a little thinner than the Palpatine one. It feels a little more streamlined, a little bit lighter. The mechanism is basically identical, where you push it in and you turn it to click it. Maybe it's the exact same model they've used for years. To me, though, it feels just a little bit different. But I'm by no means an expert. I don't own hundreds of these. It's just kind of my initial impressions using the saber and the unboxing period. So those are the obvious ones. Those are the things no one really cares about per se. This is what it's all about. We have, obviously, the saber hilt here. We will do some detailed shots in a second, but one thing I want to call out is if you guys have ever gotten one of these before, obviously, by default, we are not able to stick the saber in there. Hold all your comments about what this looks like from comments down below. But at the end of the day, what's really cool about this one is for the Palpatine one, for example, you unscrew the top, and then you have to switch it out for a different top that actually fits the saber. So you have to take your one off, put it somewhere else, get your new one, put it on there with the blade, and then you're good to go. This one, you only have one, because these do pop open like we've seen in the movie, which is really cool, and it opens up to be a blade long enough to fit in. It's wide enough to fit the blade, which is really nice. I really like that. I know it sounds something minor, but even in the darksaber, there's 2 different tops. 2 different ways of doing the tops, and so it can be kind of frustrating. This is very convenient, very nice, so really happy that it's just one kind of piece. And this, the quality of these little prongs, actually really good. They seem to be really strong, have really good connection here, so I don't expect them to break. So really cool little piece there. If you've had these sabers before, that's one change. Now, you might be asking yourself, how does this blade get its power? Is it like charge, is it USB charger like the darksaber was, or is it battery pack like some of the older ones? And unfortunately, it does have a battery pack down here at the bottom, which to me is a bummer. I really like the charging functionality on the darksaber. It's just better. Everyone has chargers these days. Who's carrying batteries around anymore in 2021? But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm sure there's technical, logistical reasons of why some have batteries and some have chargers. But going forward, as we move into the new year, move into the next wave of these sabers, I hope they all can go the charging route. It's just easier to have on hand. But that's what comes in the box. The batteries are not included. I had to get those myself. So if you're picking this up for the kids for Christmas, or for yourself, or for your friends, or whatever, make sure you got batteries at home, or you're not going to have a good time lighting it up. So that's what's in the box. I have nothing more to add there. Let's get into some detailed shots of the actual hilt, and then we'll do an ignition test as well. It's going to be exciting. Let's go. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the quality. I showed you guys some up close shots. I'm very pleased with the quality on this. It's got good. Now it's tough here because you're paying so much money. You want it to feel like it's good, strong materials, and it does. But that, of course, makes it heavy, right? Which a lot of people don't like for play purposes, for practice purposes. I don't think that's what you buy these for traditionally. I think you buy these for cosplay. I think you buy these for display because I don't think they're going to make great kind of dueling tools. Just my opinion from the limited ones I've had. I really enjoy the weathering at the top. Again, we see the brown from the kind of desert wear. We see scuffs along the top here. We see them around where the thumb sits to light the ignition. We see them again at the bottom. So I really like the weathering. I like the cloth feel. I'm very happy they did that and didn't like do some weird like plastic thing here. I don't know. It's actual cloth, actual material. It feels really nice in the hand for something this large, because it is large, just as large as the Dark Saber. Not quite as chunky as the Palpatine one, but definitely heavy to be sure. I do think it is still actually quite comfortable to hold. And again, I don't think you're going to be doing a lot of dueling with this per se. I don't think that's what it's recommended for, especially at the price. But, for mainstream Star Wars sabers, there's a bunch of third-party sites out there that can sell you some really high-quality lightsabers that can be used for all sorts of cool things. But for mainstream buyers, what you're going to get at Disney World, what you're going to get from Hasbro, this is about as good as you're going to get. And I really do appreciate that. At least it feels like my money went to something sturdy. And for display purposes, I think this is really, if you're going to use this and just put it on your desk or on your shelf, kind of like I do, I think you're going to be pretty pleased with this because it looks really good. Love the color palette. I love the design to it. So very pleased with the look from just an aesthetic perspective, from just a display purpose, which is where I use them most. I know the ignition is the most fun part, and we'll get into that in a second. But for me, it mainly sits on the shelf or hangs on the wall as a backdrop in my videos that I like to look at and pick up. It really suits that purpose perfectly. So want to talk a little bit about this switch up top. We're going to do more deep dive when we get to the ignition test. But obviously, this is one of the big draws of her saber, is the ignition style. And I really love that they incorporated the flip ignition. They did not do that at the one at Disney World, the Legacy Saber, which kind of blows my mind. So I'm very happy Hasbro did it. It does not work perfectly, and let me clarify that. It can be pushed with one thumb, but mine at least is a little tight. It's very easy when you ignite with the two fingers around, but the thumb push itself, it seems to be kind of inconsistent on when it catches, which is kind of a bummer because I would think you'd want to ignite it thumb down in battle as opposed to two-handed. It works, and the more I've used it, it seems to loosen up, but it's not perfect. And again, I want to give them a lot of credit for going and doing the ignition like this. None of their other sabers work like that, so full credit for them for embracing that design, but it is not completely perfect. So we'll get into that more in the ignition, but that's kind of my initial thoughts on just the hilt here. I'm going to be very happy putting this on my shelf, putting it on my wall, wherever I end up deciding. It looks really good, and that's mainly why I want them, so I'm excited for that. But there is something very unique about this saber. We all know it. Its color is really the first time on the big screen we've seen the true kind of yellow gold blade, and its ignition is also unique on how it lights up, how it flashes those colors. So we'll get a better look at that here shortly. I think that's what a lot of people are going to want to see. So let's find a dark room and see what it looks like. All right, we are in my closet. It's the middle of the day. I can't wait to tonight to try the ignition. I want you guys to be here with me as I boot this up. So let's turn the lights off. Let's light this baby up and see how it sounds. All right. Yeah. All right, guys, really love the rumble. I know you can probably hear it in the background now. It has a very distinct hum to what I've seen with Palpatine's. Obviously, the dark saber is more unique. We've got the yellow glow to it, the white flash. Absolutely love the blue and green ignition off the top. So we have our button here that indicates you're deflecting blaster bullets. Hold down. Wow. Okay. So initial thoughts here. I absolutely love they do the blue and green flicker at the beginning. That to me was one of the most important parts of the Saber, of the effect here. That's what makes this, unique amongst other features. So very happy they captured that. And we can see in this window here, I'll ignite it here in a second. You can actually see the glow, which I really enjoy. Let's get a little closer. Try it again. Yeah. Again, see in the window here, we have the glow. We have the prongs up at the top. Oh, man. Really enjoy that. It's got a great glow to it. I don't know how yellow it looks in the camera, right? But I can tell you, you can see white is very different from the yellow here in person. It looks really good. Very pleased with this. Well, I'll play around a little bit more. Obviously, I'm stuck in this closet here. I don't have any room to spin or anything. So let me play around a little bit more. Let's go back to the room and give you guys some thoughts. All right, so let's wrap up this review with final thoughts and some important thoughts I want to call out. The first of those, this is a display piece, in my opinion, 100%. You are taking this to put it on your wall, put it on your shelf, hang it somewhere, whatever you want to do. You are not getting this down to play with it, to hit people with it. It is way too expensive for that, way too heavy for that. I don't think you're going to get a lot of enjoyment if that's what you're looking to do. So if you're thinking about picking this up for your kids, to have them run around and slap each other, save your money, get a cheaper Saber is my first recommendation. For the display purposes, I think this is really, really solid. Literally, it is very solid. With the weathering though, with the look and the cloth, I'm going to be very pleased to either put it on my shelf or on the wall. I haven't decided where yet, but I'm very pleased with the display aspect of this Saber. It kind of meets all my expectations. Looks quality, it feels quality. It's going to be a really great addition to my collection. But there are some issues with this Saber I want to call out. With the ignition, which has loosened up as I've used it more, the thumb flick ignition can now be one thumbed, which is great, doesn't require two, but it still is a little inconsistent. I mean, it sometimes is easier to just two-hand it, which might not be an issue for you. And again, with it being a display piece more, it won't be as big an issue, but something I want to call out nonetheless. Really appreciate that they tried to integrate the flip. It's very cool. I really like that I have that on this Saber, but I, wish it was a little bit smoother. But first try, I'm sure they'll improve if there's other Sabers like this in the future. Also, I wish it was a charger, not a battery pack. It's a minor annoyance, and again, I'm not going to be lighting mine frequently, but I just feel like it's 2021, very close to 2022. We should have chargers for most of these now. And I got to call out an issue I've had with my Saber. So I've noticed in my testing, in my ignition tests, as I've been using it throughout the day, there will be times where the kind of burn effect locks in. What I mean by that is when you hold the button and it does the burn pattern, it will just start doing that randomly and not stop until I turn it off and back on again. Now, it's not a big deal as it's very easy to fix, and again, I'm not going to have it ignited all the time, but this thing's over $200. I would like to see, when I spend that kind of money, good quality things that work all the time. And so I have to call that out. To some people, that might be a deal breaker. Again, this is my only Saber. This is really new, so I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it. So maybe it's just a one-off issue for me, and you guys will have better luck. But the fact that it locks in like that, again, we're paying a lot of money for this. It's your guys' hard-earned time and cash. It better be working when we spend over $200. I think, that's the best I can say there. So I'm disappointed in that. Again, going to be heavy, so if you're taking this to a convention, you're going to want to make sure it's very secure. This little hook will probably not be enough unless you do some additional tying. It looks great. It feels great. But there are some cons here. First of all, again, not for play. Second of all, it's got some issues on mine. Some ignition issues. Again, easy to fix, on and off again. But, it's expensive, and the quality's got to be there. So let me know what you guys think down below. Overall, I am pleased with the purchase. It does exactly what I want it to do. It's going to look really sweet on my shelf, and I'm kind of a Star Wars collector that I like to display my Legos, my books. It's just fun for me, and so that's why I bought this. So it's going to meet my expectations. Even someone who is not a huge, sequel trilogy fan, I actually like the character of Rey quite a bit. I think, maybe in the stories I wouldn't have told with her, but a really, I think, likable and charismatic character on the screen. I think Daisy Ridley did a great job as an actress. And I think her saber design is really cool, and I'm going to be happy to have it in my collection. What do you guys think? Are you going to check this out? Do you buy any of these? They are quite expensive. I'm not sure how many fans actually like to get their hands on these. Let me know down below. Appreciate all your support over this year, guys. Looking forward to more Book of Boba Fett news coming out and the show in just a couple weeks. More High Republic books coming in January. So much to be excited for. Hope you guys stick around and have a great holiday season. See you again very soon.